Hello, I'm Luca De Giglio, and this is the Web3 in Travel podcast, where you can learn about crypto, blockchain, and how the new internet will change travel. Hi, everyone. We are back with Cynthia from DTravel. It's been now 10 months since our first episode together. Since then, we met in May in Barcelona at the Web3 in Travel conference. And I wanted to talk to you, Cynthia. So welcome to the podcast again. I wanted to talk to you, basically to ask you what has happened in this last almost year in DTravel. Maybe you can present yourself quickly. No, I don't think everybody knows you, but most people know you. But maybe a quick presentation, please, and then tell us what you've been doing.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Cynthia. I'm the CEO of DTravel. My background is in the short-term and vacation rental industry. I've been a host for almost a decade now, which sounds kind of crazy, and also a community builder. I co-founded Air Host Forum, which is one of the largest short-term rental forums that's been around since 2014. And I've been building in the crypto space since 2017. I had a previous startup called Altcoin Fantasy, which I ran from 2017 to 2020. And it was a crypto trading simulation game that helped people learn about trading crypto safely through gamification. We launched Altcoin Fantasy in 2017 and ran that until 2020 and grew that to over 350,000 users, all organic. Unfortunately, Google Play was much less friendly towards crypto companies at the time, so they shut us down. So we kind of moved on to the next thing, but that led me to DTravel and really combining two things I'm very passionate about, which is the short-term rental industry and then, of course, crypto or Web3 as we call it now.
Yeah. Why do we call it Web3, by the way?
Oh, this question. Yeah, I mean, it always comes up, right? And technology hasn't really changed too much other than, we have NFTs and L2s and definitely more infrastructure things. But I think the big thing is this rebrand from just more financial focus, which was more crypto and trading, to now this societal change where people want ownership, they want access to their data and ownership over their data. They want to be moving from a world of Web2 where people are the products to now being owners in those products and ecosystems.
All right. So tell us about DTravel. What have you been doing lately? I checked your website before. There's a lot of new stuff. So yes, I'm very curious.
Yeah. It's actually crazy. I mean, we were talking about this earlier, but I cannot believe that it's already been almost a year. I mean, time just really flies. And it's also very interesting how just 10 months can change many, many things. I think everybody's on the precipice of being very, very excited about the next year. But to answer your question, DTravel, we've been super, super busy. I think last time we were talking, we were still building out our direct booking website builder. Actually, maybe I'll take a step back just in case people didn't listen to the last podcast episode. So DTravel is a Web3 travel ecosystem, and we're really focused on solving a problem for the short-term rental industry. And specifically, our vision is around empowering direct connections between hosts and guests and removing a lot of the intermediaries which cause not only excessive fees, but I think ends up diluting the experience between a host and a guest. And we're really focused on building infrastructure that power direct bookings essentially. So our first product, DTravel Direct, is like a Shopify for an operator. They can quickly and easily create a premium, beautiful, modern direct booking website, which they can then share with their guests and build a brand and book directly with hosts. And the reason that this is really important is that, as we saw during COVID, so many hosts were so reliant on not just Airbnb, but platforms in general. And when there were mass cancellations, they no longer had a way to run their business. And obviously that makes you very vulnerable. So we believe that direct bookings really are the way to a sustainable industry. And that's backed by a lot of what's happening in the industry with people moving away from platforms and OTAs and wanting to diversify. So we really leaned into that movement, and DTravel Direct, last time we talked, was something that we had been working really hard on. And obviously we continue to work on that. some of the big updates that we've had since we last chatted was having what we call a manual listing builder and an Airbnb import. So if you either are
Oh,
using Airbnb and you want to import your Airbnb listing, or you want to manually create a listing so that you can then create your direct booking website, those are both options. And as you can imagine, that's obviously significantly accelerated our growth and onboarding because now anybody can use DTravel, and it makes it really easy to onboard as well, since I would say probably 95 to 99% of hosts are using Airbnb. And the other big thing, which we've been really excited about and have seen a lot of progress and growth from, is our Google Vacation Rentals integration. So for
let me
people
ask you,
who,
sorry, before we go on
yeah,
Google,
of course.
which is huge. I have a question about the listing import in
Hmm.
Airbnb. Well, first because back in 2018 when I was presenting Trips Community as which was supposed to be a vacation rent, a decentralized OTA, right? Decentralized Airbnb. I was presenting. I remember this slide in which I said we will import Airbnb listings automatically, but then we never went ahead into doing that. So how do you do this technically, and how is it like? How does Airbnb react to that? Is it something you can do? It's how is the legality behind that, basically?
So we have a partner that we're doing this through, and they do have
Is
a
it
direct connection to
channel manager
Airbnb.
or something like this, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
So they have a connection and they're, you know, it's an approved connection. So that's how we're doing it. Um, yeah, I think in the long run, really the road to success that we see is definitely a big part of that is the PMSs. Like we want to be integrated with all of the PMSs because a lot of the growth, especially in direct bookings, does come from more professional property managers.
Um, so to import my Airbnb listing in DTravel, do I need to be already a customer of this PMS or channel manager or not?
No, no,
Oh, okay.
it's all
That
free. Hmm.
oh, so everybody can do that.
Correct. Which
Oh,
is,
that's huge. That's huge.
yeah, I mean, again, most people who are in short-term rentals as a host or property manager have an Airbnb
Yeah, I mean,
listing.
as long as you have an Airbnb listing, you can import in DTravel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
And so the onboarding goes from, let's say you were creating a manual listing, that probably still only takes like 10 minutes or so. But now you can import it in just a
Well,
few clicks.
is there any synchronization going on, or then you have to synchronize the calendars? Well, I guess suppose you have iCal, but all about prices and everything else synchronized.
Right now, we're just doing an import, and then phase two
Okay,
is the two-way sync, like you
okay,
mentioned. So
fantastic.
right now it's iCal, but yeah, we are moving towards doing a two-way sync so that it makes that experience really seamless for anybody who might have
Okay,
an Airbnb or other platform listing.
fantastic. So it's much easier to be part of the travel with that. Okay, great,
Yeah, exactly.
good. So what about Google? This is also big.
Yes, this is huge. And for anybody who's not in short-term rentals, Google Travel is a meta search for hotels, etc. But for vacation rentals, they specifically are trying to only have direct booking websites. And if you wanted access to Google Travel before, you would have to pay for either a property management system or a channel manager. But with DTravel, just for being a DTravel customer, you get free distribution and we don't charge anything up front. The only way that we charge is if you get a booking, but it's 3% only. And just for you to get listed and get more eyeballs, get more distribution, that's all free, which is huge. And that's definitely a big part of how we're trying to solve this problem that exists in short-term rentals, because the way that I see it is Airbnb didn't invent short-term rentals, right? Short-term rentals have been around for a really, really long time. But what they did was that they made it easy for anybody, literally your grandma, to create a listing. And that was really the catalyst for this massive growth that we've seen in this industry. And I think that the next phase, and I'm curious what your thoughts are, Luca, but the next phase I think for short-term rentals is, given what's happened with COVID, given a lot of the changes that have happened recently, especially with Airbnb and how they've been treating hosts, but also I think the guest experience, more and more we're seeing the shift towards direct bookings. And I think that the entire industry is realizing there's this shift, and all of the PMSs are investing a lot into direct booking infrastructure. Like they are building out their own direct booking products and building a lot of tooling for this area. And so in the next, 5-10 years, I think it's going to get as easy to build your direct booking business as it's been for you to list on Airbnb. And I think that's the missing piece that we haven't seen for the last, decade or so, where it's been really focused on these OTAs, but the next shift is towards direct bookings, because this is the same evolution that we saw in the hotel industry as well. They loved OTAs initially and then started eating into their profits, etc. The hotel industry has it even worse because they have rate parity, which we don't have in short-term rentals. And that means that hotels cannot, on any OTA that you go to, it has to be the same rate. And even on their own direct booking website, I think it has to be the same rate, but they offer, additional benefits and discounts because they want you to book directly with them. And so I think with short-term rentals, we're going through the same evolution where we see the same problems and we're trying to solve it the same way.
You asked me what I think about it. I have to admit that after having been in the vacation rental industry since 2001, I'm out. I'm out because I stopped having apartments, either directly managed or through website or whatever, since last year. So I'm not really up to date on what's happening in the vacation rental industry, but I have one thing which I realized more and more recently, and it's the following. When I book through Airbnb or Booking.com, I have something which I don't have when I book directly. And it's, I feel protected by the platform. There's a third party which can get in if something goes wrong. Booking directly as a guest, I am completely at the mercy of the owner. Okay. So I can book directly a hotel because sometimes they have a brand to protect. But I wouldn't feel too comfortable in booking directly with a host, even if there's a 10% discount or whatever, because of the quality of the general standard of hosts, property managers and hosts is pretty low. Meaning that many times I'm not satisfied, especially with cleaning. Maybe I've become like older and more like grumpy. I don't stand unclean places anymore. Maybe it's because my wife, she's very cleaning a lot, everything. So every time something is wrong, we spend half a day cleaning the apartment. So it's a bit a personal position here. But like I was in London the other day in an apartment alone. I mean, with a friend, with a colleague for WTM. And it was a bit dirty, the little hair here, the old soap in the shower, stuff like this. And, I asked for a refund of the cleaning fee, because I think at least the minimum standard is that it's clean. So where do I go with that? It's like a bit like a bad introduction to your question, but there's an answer to that. It's a trust issue. Right. I don't trust hosts in general. I trust even less property managers. Okay. The only vacation rentals I really enjoy are the single hosts with 1 or 2 apartments who really do this with their heart and have 4.92 or whatever on Airbnb. These are fantastic. These are really, really high value. Everything else I'm trying to avoid now. And if I have to book something like in London, which was no option, I go through Airbnb or go through Booking, and then I can get a fair treatment if they were not fair to me because they didn't even bother to clean properly, right? So that's the introduction. How do we solve that? Well, we have crypto, we have Web3. Web3 has the tools to remove the trust value or the trust premium we pay to the OTAs and manage it through protocols. And I think we discussed this in the past. Basically, instead of having to go to Airbnb and say, you know, I want the cleaning fee back, the cleaning fees back, I can go to the smart contract and now, and I'm going to explain the whole thing again, but basically we can deal with this in a decentralized way. We're not there yet. This hasn't been done yet. The technology is not probably ready, but we get in there. So I'm 100% convinced that instead of paying 10, 15, 20% to the OTAs for this trust premium, we're going to pay 0.3 or 0.5 or 1% to a protocol to deal with it. Until that moment, or maybe in a more light way, in a more positive way, when we solve that problem, we won't need OTAs anymore, even for that. Okay. So for all the rest, we don't really need them. Yeah, I'm using Booking because it's easier to find places, because I'm supposing that most places are there, so it's easier to compare. It's fast, it's comfortable, and then I try to book elsewhere. And often I fail, but still, the discoverability of OTAs can be done by other means in a decentralized manner. But we have to solve the trust issue, and we will solve it. I'm 100% sure of that.
Yeah, that's definitely a really good point. And I think that the solution is not necessarily to have a centralized entity, right? Because I think the problem that Airbnb solved was the consistency issue. There was no way to find a place to stay that somebody owned and would let you stay. And secondly, they made the experience consistent in terms of like, I mean, there's still a very wide range of the experience on Airbnb. So if you book one place, it's completely different than a different place. But I think like generally there's sort of minimum standards, hopefully anyway. And like you said, there's this perception, and I say perception very deliberately, that you could have recourse. How that actually works in practice, I think both hosts and guests have seen that the experience can be quite terrible. But I think the way to fix that is not to have an OTA in the middle. If, let's say, for example, you had direct booking websites that were standard in terms of they had the same kind of information that OTAs had, but that booking is peer-to-peer, that would solve, I think, a lot of the trust issue, because now you can verify that somebody stayed there and you can verify their review. Because I think reviews are a really big part of OTAs. And that's something that tends to be either missing or maybe not super trustworthy on a direct booking website. But again, if you used blockchain and you could verify that whoever left that review was a verified guest, and then you could see the history of their reviews, then I think that's really powerful. And with OTAs in particular, just sort of like platforms, your account is limited to that specific platform, right? So if I leave a review as a guest, you only know me as Cynthia, the guest. Maybe you know me as Cynthia, the host, but you don't know what I'm like as a Google reviewer, as a Foursquare reviewer, you know, anything else. And I think that's really the power of Web3 reviews and credentials and reputation, is you can take your credentials anywhere else. And the more information that you have about somebody who's leaving a review, I think the more credible that they become. Because if they tend to be a fair reviewer across every single platform, now you're going to see, okay, well, this person clearly I can trust their review because they tend to have like a fairly unbiased, neutral or objective standpoint or viewpoint.
Yeah.
Versus if somebody else is always leaving bad reviews, you're like, oh, I don't know if I can really trust this person. They're obviously very negative and maybe it's not that objective. And that's a problem that is not solved with OTAs today. And so I think with Web3 reviews, it's actually going to be more powerful and more trustworthy. But like you said, I think the problem is we're not there. But I do think that the way that OTAs are set up are just so unsustainable.
They have. I'm happy you talk about reviews, because that's another area where we can do so much better than the status quo, because reviews at this stage in the OTAs have reached their peak in quality, meaning they are broken. And now I'll tell you why I mean they're broken, but they can do much better. And you mentioned that the data is siloed, and it's really hard to well, nobody can use these reviews or give you a better insight. For instance, a couple of weeks ago, I was in Greece and I was looking for restaurants, and I wanted only to read reviews of Greek people because a local will give me a better overview
Right.
of the quality of restaurant. I don't care if some, German
American
or
tourist.
whatever American tourist says that's the greatest food I've ever had. I mean, it's a different perspective. Or like the ice cream. I remember like last year I was in Rome. We were looking for a ice cream gelato, and there were the best reviews were in the center of the city. And 99% of the reviews were done by tourists who have no idea what a good gelato is. So we went in this place and said, this is like crap. Why they have five on Google Maps, right? And so, for instance, we can do that. If the reviews are, as you mentioned, connected to a persistent identity, we can have, and the data is open, anybody can build a view of visualization of the reviews in which you say, okay, just filter by local, filter by, show me if these people always leaves bad or good reviews, what you were mentioning. So in Web3, because of the open nature of Web3, we can do so much better with reviews. And why are reviews broken, in my opinion? Because it doesn't make sense that 8 out of 10 is not good. Like in booking, I don't touch anything below 8. And actually between 8 and 9, 9.2. That's the basic. If you want something which is good value, and come on, that's cool. I was happy with 7. I don't know the American or the Canadian system, but in Italy it was 0 to 10. 6 plus plus was already great for me. 7 was good. 8 was great. So because OTAs have to sell you, they're going to show you good reviews. That's the short version of it. They're going to push good reviews. A booking cannot afford to show 8 when Airbnb is showing 4 out of 5 because people will book more on the other side, right? So everybody's trying to push this.
4 is bad on Airbnb.
4 is untouchable.
Yeah.
4, you go in a 4, forget it. I mean, sleep on the street is going to be better off.
Yeah, right? And it's really
4 is like 8,
because
right?
it's actually well, it's very. So I don't know if you know this, but it's actually also very country dependent or region dependent. So apparently, Europeans tend to leave lower reviews. So if they stay at a place, they might rate it like 4 or maybe 4.2 or something. Whereas a North American will stay at a place and they'll rate it 4.5. And I don't know if we're more fake or just more generous or what. But it is very interesting because even within reviews, there is no consistency in terms of how somebody actually rates something based on what their standards are, or maybe like what their cultural norms might be. And so I think what you're talking about, where it's really dependent on who the reviewer is, and maybe there's like a social graph for you to be able to see this and have different weights and levers that you can look at, that becomes really important because my experience might be more similar to someone from North America. And so I might actually rate those ratings higher than somebody from Europe, or even things like if I'm, let's say, a budget traveler and let's say you're a luxury traveler, then I'm probably not going to give a lot of credibility to your reviews because your expectations are so different from mine and vice versa. You're not going to want to stay in a place and I'm like, oh, this is amazing because, my amazing is your untouchable.
Exactly. What you mentioned is Northern Europeans there's some countries like France, I think, but also Scandinavia, where very, very good is 4 out of 5. And so in many Airbnbs or many places also that I manage, we had this piece of paper saying, if you leave 4, this is really bad for me. If you're happy, you need to leave a 5. So to kind of push them, because that was really damaging, right? You work so hard, you need to get 5 all the time. And then you get somebody really happy leaving a 4. How do we solve this in Web3? Well, again, if data is open, you can have visualization like DeFi Llama systems for crypto, right? For DeFi, where somebody can build a dashboard or a website where you can filter. You say, okay, I am from this country, this age, this kind of traveler. Show me the average reviews based on my personality, and then I have the real answer. Like, show me only what Greek people say about this restaurant in Greece. And this is not going to happen in the OTAs, again, because they are optimizing for high reviews and for selling, while any Web3 system could optimize for great reviews. And then any company or like DTravel could import those reviews, right? Because you want good reviews on your website. Want to build a review system, maybe. So yeah, there's a lot to do. There's a lot we can do that they cannot do. But it's a long-term thing, but the trend is clear, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
tell me more about DTravel, or go ahead with this if you want. But
yeah. Well, so the Google Vacation Rentals, that is a massive deal. Yeah, because before you had to pay for it, and now with DTravel, you don't have to until you get a booking. But just getting access to that distribution is hugely important. And this is another thing that we believe very strongly in, is in order for people to adopt direct bookings and to be successful at them in the same way that Airbnb helped with distribution, but through an OTA model, we are solving distribution through a partnership model. So we don't necessarily need to build distribution products, but we can partner with companies who are really, really good at that. So Google VR is one of them. The next one that we're going to be partnering with and integrating with is Travala, which is the largest crypto OTA. So they're going to distribute DTravel powered listings, and it's still going to be a peer-to-peer booking. We are talking to exchanges and wallets to do the same thing, because a lot of these wallets and exchanges, they obviously want utility for their customers, especially if their token or their wallet is powering the payment. So that's going to be, I think, a huge unlock for us. And timing is really good, where there's probably going to be a lot of Web3 focus and hype, hopefully over the next year. So we can definitely take advantage of that. And we also have our own distribution product coming out very, very soon in Q1 of 2024. And we've kind of teased this one a little bit to our community. It's an AI recommendation tool that will return just direct booking websites. And we're super, super excited about this, because people are always asking us, especially in the Web3 community, like, how can we support DTravel? How can we find DTravel powered listings? And so this will be a way for them to be able to do that. But it won't be just DTravel listings, because again, we want to empower the entire industry to really be successful at direct bookings. So all of our PMS partners who are going to be distributing their direct booking websites that their customers use will also be on this product.
So it's like simplifying, it's a ChatGPT where I can ask, give me a list of direct booking websites for this city, something like this.
Sort of. It would be based on your needs. So if you're going to Istanbul for DevConnect, for example, you could say, I want to find a place in Istanbul for these dates, and I want a desk so that I can work, and it has to be close to this area. So then tool will recommend the top 3 listings for you based on your specific needs. And it's really about short-term. No, it'll be in Q1. Yeah. And the idea is that travel planning takes a lot of time. That's the first problem. The second problem is that it's very, very, very challenging to find direct booking websites. I would say almost impossible. Like you almost have to know the brand. And that's definitely been one of the big blockers to the direct booking movement, right? So we're really trying to solve those 2 problems, because if you can just get a bunch of recommendations that feel like they're very strong recommendations, then you could potentially shortcut your travel planning by quite a bit. And with all of the huge improvements and advances that have happened in AI over the last year, it seems foolish to not to take advantage of that in something that takes a lot of time, which is trip planning.
Of course. So I'm going to Istanbul next week. Let's say I want to book on DTravel. What is the best way? Shall I go through Google Travel? I'm right now in it, or should I go somewhere else?
So this is actually why we're launching this product, because with Google, there's no way to really know if it's a Google powered listing, because they don't tell you. You won't know until you click through to the site. And there's no way for us to control that, because it's a meta search. If you want, I can send you some of the listings that we have in Istanbul. But once we have this new product in Q1, then assuming it fits your needs, you should see more of the DTravel powered listings. And then once we finish the Travala integration, then you'll definitely be able to see all the DTravel powered listings.
All right. So yeah, send me a list if it's easy. I'd be happy to check it out. I'm checking now. Yeah, if you click on the listing, then it shows you who is the provider, but not before you click on the listing, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I see some website I've never seen in my life. Okay. All right. Yeah, please. Okay. What else do we have? Your website is packed with news here, with new things.
Yes. Another big thing that we're doing, and this is going to be really critical for the Trivela integration, is we're integrating non-custodial wallets into DTravel. And the reason that we're doing this is to make it easy for any property manager or host to be able to accept crypto payments. Because obviously,
Okay.
with Trivela having 80% of their bookings in crypto, we want to make sure that our customers who are using DTravel for their direct booking site are able to take advantage of that access to the crypto people. And what's really nice is that with all of the AA features that have come out this year, it's going to be a really seamless experience for any operator
AA
to create
meaning account
account abstraction.
account structure, like
Yes.
more advanced wallet, smart contract
Wallet
wallets. Yeah.
infrastructure. Yeah. So
Yeah.
they'll be able to quickly create a wallet using a social login, which is just going to be a seamless experience. And then we have the option to pay for gas on their behalf. So they don't even need to worry about having any gas tokens in their wallets for any transactions. And we're going to be adding swapping, on and off ramping, etc. So pretty excited about that because
Mm.
with wallets, this is obviously a huge blocker to Web3 adoption for normal people. So it'll be a really good experiment, I think, for us to see what we can learn from this and how to improve that wallet experience.
Yeah, since we're talking about payments in crypto, what is the status of your smart contracts? What's going on chain with DTravel?
Can you
Oh, yeah,
clarify what you're
meaning,
asking about?
okay, what kind of features, all the features you have here, right? What is actually creating transactions or leveraging the blockchain, apart from the payments which you just mentioned?
Yes. So right now, all of our crypto payments are done via smart contract. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the first piece. What we're actually moving to is changing our smart contracts for payments into the ability to issue a room night token. So this is not an
Oh,
NFT,
okay.
it's a token. It's
Okay.
like an ERC token.
Mm-hmm.
But what that will allow us to do is be able to put on chain both fiat and crypto payments. So right now we have one smart contract that handles both the transaction and recording that on the blockchain, as well as the payment. And going forward with the next evolution of our smart contracts, we're actually going to split that out. So the payments are going to be separate from recording the transaction. And what we're going to do to be able to record fiat payments is whenever a payment is made and a booking is made, there's going to be a token that's issued for both fiat and for crypto. And it's either going to be held in a custodial wallet if the property manager doesn't have a wallet, or sent to their wallet if they do have a wallet. And the reason for that is that we obviously believe booking data is very powerful and that should be open and accessible for anyone to read and be able to build with. And so that's why we want to put both fiat and crypto payments on chain, because right now it's just crypto payments, but we do want to move to a world where we're recording all payments on chain. And that really
Okay.
is one step towards us building out our protocol. And the protocol is basically a single source of truth for the industry, because right now, I mean, I'm sure you're very familiar with this, Luca, but whenever anybody wants to build in short-term rentals, same thing in hotels, you have to connect with multiple parties. And if I'm building a company and you're building a company, we are connecting to the same people, but we're creating our own individual connections, which is honestly such a waste of time and resources, not just to build it, but you have to maintain it as well. And it doesn't make any sense that in our industry, we don't have one sort of like master API that everybody can connect to and read and write from. And that's really what the protocol is meant to solve, is making data flow a lot more efficient and cost friendly, and also making it a lot more accessible for anybody that wants to come into the industry and build, because I think there's a huge barrier to adoption and to innovation right now because everything is permissioned and it costs a lot to get started. But if everything was open, then we are probably going to get much, much better apps and dApps that are created because the barrier to entry is much lower.
This is in under partners DTravel protocol. That's what you're referring to, right? Okay. Can you make me an example of a booking? Let's say I spend one night in London. I spend $100 or pound, and so what? You're gonna issue like 100 tokens for $100, or one token representing $100? How is it technically?
So we're probably going to issue one token that represents the booking itself.
The booking. Okay.
Yeah, because the most important thing is recording the booking, and then whatever information is associated with that booking is what's going to be recorded on chain.
Okay. Why an ERC20 and not an ERC721 or 1155, so an NFT? Why a fungible token, since it represents a specific booking?
Sorry, I just said an ERC token. I don't think we've landed on the type of ERC token yet.
Oh, okay, because you said ERC token, so I assume 20. So you haven't decided yet. Okay.
We haven't decided. Yes, yeah.
Have you followed the ERC 6551?
Yep.
Okay. Is any plan? Does it make any sense for your use case?
That one, probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're still trying to figure out exactly, because the next phase of having these room night tokens is to be able to sell them easily in case you can't travel, because that's definitely one
so it's
of
like
the
the
really
NFT
powerful
booking.
things. Kind of, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, if I make a booking and then I can't go, I can sell it. I can sell the token.
That's what we're trying to move towards. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a general
and it doesn't
trend.
have to be. Yeah, because with travel, I think one of the big blockers is that there's no transferability, right? If you book it and you can't go for whatever reason, you lose it, which is stupid. But on the other hand, as an operator, you also need to have that guarantee. And so what we're doing a little bit differently is that the operator will hold those tokens and they can choose whether or not they want to buy back, in which case it essentially is a cancellation, or if they would send the tokens, which means that they would keep the money for the booking. Or the traveler could then choose to sell it or sell back to the operator.
Right, interesting. Now, this is getting very, very interesting with also other companies going through this booking as a token as a booking, because we can start thinking about even swapping amongst tokens.
Exactly.
Of course, it's all different blockchains, etc. But somebody's gonna have to put them all together in one place, and that's gonna be great. Very good. Since we're talking tokens, I also I've seen that you are kind of thinking about staking your tokens to get room nights. What was that?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I like how you're keeping up to date, Luca. Very impressed.
That's because you gave me 15 minutes before. So I said, okay, let me check. And it turned out it was a good thing to delay a bit.
Yeah. So we are going to be adding some traveler utility into DTravel. I mean, we have a lot of plans for different utility on both the host and the traveler side. But one of the ones for travelers that we're really excited about is to be able to stake to earn room night tokens. And these are essentially credits for you to be able to apply towards bookings as free credits. And so the idea is that the more that you stake and then the more that you travel, the more that you earn. And the room night tokens is one specific use case of earning credits, but there's going to be other things that you'll be able to do with staking to get access to really cool perks and benefits. And hopefully not just with us, but with other partners that we have as well.
Is this active? I mean, if I buy tokens today, will I be able to stake them already?
No, this is something we're going to be launching soon. So we're still working out the details of what this looks like.
Okay. Because I'm getting a bit of FOMO. I always promise that I will own every single token in the web travel industry. Sorry, in the travel industry and Web3. I always said I'm going to buy every single NFT, and I'm going to do every booking which gives me a token, like an NFT, right? But I haven't done that for many reasons. And now I'm getting this FOMO. I have some of your tokens, but I don't have many. So maybe it's a good time to buy. And but I can stake them. Okay, when it's ready, maybe I can stake them, get some free nights. That would be great. That would be amazing. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
your token is on both BNB or BNB chain and Ethereum, right? These are the two
Correct.
chains where it's available. Okay.
Oh, I should mention,
And
since you
yeah,
brought up chains, one of the really exciting things we're definitely looking forward to with the new wallets is that we will have the option to be able to deploy our booking contracts in multiple chains, and also to be able to add multiple tokens for payment on those chains. So let's
is
say
it?
if you wanted to accept USDC on Arbitrum or USDC on Optimism, etc., then you'll be able to have the ability to customize what you would like.
So I'm gonna ask you to repeat, please. That allows me to spend any token on any chain, or you were mentioning the booking token?
Yes, so there's two sides to it. There's
Hmm.
obviously the host side, and once we have the wallets, they'll be able to configure what blockchains they want their booking contracts to live on.
Oh, okay. And they
Yeah.
can choose many blockchains.
Yeah, we haven't finalized the list yet. We'll probably actually have a vote or something for our committee members to decide. But we know that people have their preferences on their favorite chains. And we don't want to have force people to have to swap or bridge, et cetera. And so we want to give them lots of optionality in terms of choosing that. And then on the other side, what that will also allow is on the traveler side, now travelers can have more flexibility in what chain and what tokens they pay in. So I think that's going to be a better
Okay.
user experience for everybody.
Is this a layer 0 or something like that? Some technology, like how'd you accomplish that basically?
Well, the wallets we're using a third party, which is Third
Oh,
Web. They
okay.
have a really, really great tech stack. They've been really great partners. They have a really great wallet SDK. But with the smart contracts and deploying to multiple chains, it's really easy for us to be able to do that for any EVM compatible chains. The difference with the wallets is that we can build an interface that makes it really easy for somebody to be able to choose and customize that, versus right now with EOA wallets, it's not a great experience. And so we can't design a seamless user experience because of just the technical limitations of EOAs versus account abstracted or smart wallets. There's a lot more flexibility in how we design the user experience to be able to customize the chains and the tokens.
All right. Cool. That's well, those are all the promises of AA, right? Like to solve the problem of fragmentation. Okay. Anything else? I see. Find a stay, join waitlist, discover directly bookable vacation rental. That's the AI thing you said before, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So if anybody is a
Meridian.
nomad,
Uh,
yeah.
Meridian. Collect trips,
Yes.
earn from travel. Meridian profile. Okay, that's a collecting all the places you've been.
Yeah, so that one is still going to be coming down the pipeline, but we're prioritizing the search product first because this is something that so many people have been asking about. And we felt that this was really one of the key things that would help our customers be successful was the search and distribution aspect.
This Meridian is what you used to call passport, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, another question then. You mentioned the DAO and the vote. What is the situation in terms of the DAO now?
Yeah,
I
it's so
mean,
funny because DAOs have become quite unpopular.
yeah, we have just to change the name. That's what we do.
Yeah,
Crypto,
that's right.
right?
We'll just have to rebrand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a massive hype for DAOs, and then I think things have kind of died down. But for us, really, I mean, rename a DAO whatever you want to name it. But ultimately at the end of the day, it's about being community driven and about being community owned. And something about the short-term rental industry that I think a lot of people don't know unless you're actually in it is it's the perfect Web3 playground because people in short-term rentals are so community focused already. There are so many groups all around the world dedicated to hosts that local hosts are just starting to help each other. And so
Yeah.
they're already community driven. You don't have to convince them of anything. And
Yeah.
that's why I think it's the perfect industry for Web3 to come in and I think formalize maybe some of the community aspects of it. And so we still very much have this DAO roadmap where we want to continue to bring in the community and have them be a lot more involved and eventually make a lot of the decisions. And actually, that's a good reminder. We had our first community hosted event in London as part of Zebu Live, which is a big Web3 conference in October. So two of our community members, they were one of our first customers. They've been longtime avid fans and just amazing. They, through a community event, brought their community in and shared more about DTravel and how we're helping them with their business and why other hosts should be using DTravel as well. And it was just amazing because it's the first example of our community coming together and actually doing things on their own without any prompting from us. I mean, they literally did everything on their own. And we wrote a blog post recapping the event. But I think this really shows the power of being a community run and community driven project. And I haven't seen this too much, I think, even in Web3, despite us saying that we're community driven. And so it really just gives me so much hope and so much excitement about us continuing to lean down this path and empower more community members to be able to do things like this.
Yeah, I can confirm that when we started trips in 2017, we were, because we come from that industry, so we were focusing only hosts, and there was no need to explain why we have to do things as a community, because that's part of the DNA. Then it got stuck because of the technical difficulties, so having a wallet, etc. But the concept of like, let's do our own OTA, because we don't want to depend too much on other OTAs. It was obviously a value proposition to everybody. So I can only agree with that. Good. We have 10 minutes more. General feeling about everything in the travel industry.
In
What has
travel,
changed?
well,
What do you? Yeah, everything. No, because the world is going to hell. So let's not talk about that. But just the
well, I
travel
think,
industry related to crypto, or what do you think?
yeah. Well, there's obviously like macro forces or the macro economic outlook, and then there's crypto.
Mm.
And, anybody who's been in crypto for a minute, I'm sure feels the small frenzy that is happening right now with some of the potential ETFs coming down the pipeline. And I think ETH and Bitcoin may be making a rally. But it's definitely interesting because obviously outside of crypto, like stocks aren't doing well. A lot of companies are laying employees off. I think travel is maybe going to have a constriction. I know a lot of travel companies have also laid people off. And so I think it's yet to be seen what ends up happening in the crypto industry because of some of the bigger macro forces. But what's interesting is that I've seen a bunch of Web2 companies issue NFT projects. So Lufthansa came out with theirs.
Yeah,
Uh, oh no, I'm going to butcher their
Etihad,
name. Etihad,
Etihad.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, they also have an NFT. And then we were just talking about
mm.
Trip.com, sorry, which
Trip.com. Yeah,
also has their NFT. And so it's been interesting to see these Web2 travel companies that are issuing NFTs because obviously I think that's a good sign for the industry. And using NFTs for perks and membership rewards are a really, really good use case of NFTs and of Web3 generally. So not sure how those are going to take off, but at the very least, I think they represent a very strong narrative and signal towards Web3, which is only good for our industry.
Yeah, those you mentioned are the way I interpret this is like these are things which are seeds which were planted in the last bull run when the ground is soft and everybody thinks crypto is great, so money is allocated and people start working on it, and then a couple of years later they launch it. Nobody really cares because it's crypto winter. Nobody cares about crypto, and then if they're well executed, they grow again in the next bull run. Like Lufthansa was very well executed, in my opinion, for instance. Are you ready for, if you mentioned that maybe we are in a bull run or is starting a bull run, and everything is going to change in terms of perception? Are you ready for that? Like, people are going to look at the travel in a different way, much better, much more attention. How are you going to leverage this? Like, are you changing your approach to this? You know what I mean? It's like a big tsunami of attention is going to come, money probably, and that lasts for a few months, and if you really are prepared for that, you can really leverage it. Well, what's your take about this? How do you feel that this bubbling market is coming? I personally, I would have liked to have a bit more time because I really love the winter, the bear market, but suppose it's happening. What are you doing?
So it's funny because I just posted about this today, but in a lot of ways, it doesn't really matter what the market is, right? Like, we're here to build a long-term ecosystem.
Oh yeah, I saw
whether
your
it's a bull market, whether it's a bear market, doesn't really matter. Like, irrespective of that, we want to build something that's very long-term, very lasting, because we believe in the vision that we're building. But I think that it would be foolish for any company in Web3 to ignore the opportunities for growth that are coming down the pipeline. And so some of the bets that we're making around integrating wallets, some of the Web3 distribution channels that we have coming down the pipeline, our own distribution product, those are very much aimed because we believe that obviously with the next bull run, there's going to be a lot of attention on crypto. And just as we saw in the last market cycle, all of a sudden it's crypto everything. And all these companies want to accept crypto, they want to invest in crypto, et cetera. So we have to be prepared in terms of enabling all of our customers to take advantage of that as well, because their success means our success. And that's why a lot of the infrastructure that we're building is really focused on enabling every single property manager that we have, and even the ones that aren't our customers today, to be able to easily accept crypto so that they can take advantage of it. And then also work with off-ramp and on-ramp partners as well, because that's definitely a big part of the challenge. Is if you're a big company or a brand or a big property manager, oftentimes you don't want to deal with crypto. And so how do we make that easy for someone to be able to get the benefits, but without necessarily exposing themselves to actually holding crypto?
All right. I was at the World Trade with WTM in London. It's like a big travel industry event. Zero crypto. I mean, zero.
No.
Nothing. Zero. So my question for you is, I know I was expecting that anyway. My question for you is, do you think this is the time travel really looks at crypto and actually, sticks with it rather than, going on the NFT bandwagon for a few months and then forgetting about it? Do you think, are we mature enough with that, or is it a bit too early? Maybe it's the next cycle.
I think it's very dependent on the use case. So when we talk about payments, I think that is going to be one of the biggest use cases as it relates to travel, because there's a lot of things happening that I think make it a strong narrative in terms of the utility of crypto. I mean, crypto has always been at its base really a payment, right? A store of value, but also a way to transfer value. And with a lot of the countries all around the world experiencing either inflation or hyperinflation, a lot of these countries are holding stable coins or US dollars. And obviously,
true.
Yes, but with the US, I think experiencing increasing unrest and potentially even like going down as world power, I think it's going to be safer to hold some sort of stable coin rather than holding just USD. And, I think as an unfortunate reality of the wars that are happening, a lot of people, out of the Russia-Ukraine war left Russia and they took their money in crypto. And what's been really interesting that I've been talking to a lot of people about is there's a lot of Russians who are going to a lot of different places like Indonesia, South America, Portugal. And when they get to those places, they are looking for places that accept crypto to stay. So many people are like, do you accept crypto? Because that's where most of my money is. And obviously it's challenging for them to off-ramp. And so, obviously not good in terms of like world stability, but in terms of being a crypto travel company that is enabling crypto payments, I think there's actually an increasing need and demand for crypto payments rather than less of a demand. And I think that's going to increase both because there's going to be a lot more awareness of it, but also potentially because there's a lot of geopolitical instability that I think is happening that makes people want to hold on to something that feels more censorship resistant.
Fantastic. I won't take more of your time. This has been very good as last time. So thank you very much for giving us this time. And thank you very much again. I hope to see you soon at maybe at the next conference in September in Italy, the Web3 Travel Conference, maybe earlier. This is still far. And good luck with everything, Cynthia.
Thanks, Luca. As always, lovely chatting.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And we're done. Thank you for listening to this episode. For more insights, follow me on Twitter at Tripluca, TRIPLUCA. If you enjoy my podcast and want to support it, head on to podcast.web3intravel.com, 3 is a digit, and mint an NFT. If you want to sponsor it, you can do it at the same page. I will mention you in the podcast, and your name will appear on all donation NFTs for a while. Thank you, and ciao.